For those who haven't been keeping up with the news regarding Cuties, here is the general timeline. Cuties debuts at a film festival to massive acclaim. Its distribution rights are given to Netflix, who seemingly butchers the marketing by using a promotional image that portrayed the underage cast in a pedophilic light. People online are justifiably upset, both at the film and at Netflix, but a short time later it comes to light that Netflix might have done a disservice to Cuties, which early critics and reviewers hailed as being an impactful coming-of-age story that criticizes the sexualization of children instead of praising it. Thus, the waiting game for the release of the film on the streaming platform began. Was Cuties unfairly marketed, or was Netflix's portrayal through the trailer and the promotional image and blurb actually accurate? No, god damn it, are you fucking serious? Jesus fucking Christ, are you fucking kidding me with this bullshit? When I first sort of played around with the idea of making a video about Cuties, it was maybe a week ago before the film's release, back when I thought, okay, maybe Netflix just sort of did the movie dirty and made it seem much worse than it is. I hadn't watched the trailer, I had only seen a few people talk about how the critics said, oh no, this movie is great, like it's a really powerful, impactful story about how a girl feels pressured to act a certain way. But then the movie was actually released, and then I saw a bunch of tweets and videos saying, oh no, like there is some content in here. So for a day or two I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna watch it, like I know it's bad. However, it did feel irresponsible of me to be engaged and aware of this controversy, but not be fully equipped and armed with all the information that I could have, which could easily be gained by just watching the film. But I can't just make a video critiquing the film because so many other people have done just that. And we don't exactly need a 10,000th person saying, hey guys, guess what, hot take here, pedophilia is bad. We know what's wrong with this film. It shows children in skimpy clothing dancing and grinding on the floor and humping the floor. And like there's camera shots that like are very close to their asses. And now as someone who's watched the movie, I can comfortably say, yes, Cuties doesn't not have a message. Cuties' message is very clearly the sexualization of children is bad. But hey, do you know how they get that message across? They tell us that sexualizing children is bad by sexualizing children. Some people will try to say they had to sexualize the children to show you just how bad it is to sexualize children. Like, you need to feel the emotion of like watching a girl hump the ground to just know how bad it is. Listen, what I'm trying to say is that you can make a very good, thought-provoking, and visceral and comfortable film regarding the sexualization of children growing up without actually sexualizing those children. And the reason I know this is because there's a little, really good movie called 8th Grade that already did that. 8th Grade, comedy legend Bo Burnham's directorial debut, is a movie that sort of mirrors Cuties in a lot of ways. And actually, before we get into the similarities between these two movies, let me say this. There are a handful of misguided feminists and social rights activists who are supporting the director of Cuties, Maïmouna Doucouré, because she's a black woman, and it would be a shame if we criticized a black woman's directorial debut in a landscape that is so predominantly centered around white men. The statement, there needs to be more diversity in filmmaking, and a black woman made a very problematic film, are two statements that can both be true and coincide. Feminism isn't about absolving women of all criticism or holding them above criticism. It's about equality, and if a woman does something problematic, she should be criticized for it. What I'm about to do in this video is compare 8th Grade to Cuties. 8th Grade is not a better film because it was directed by a white man. 8th Grade is a better film because it didn't have a bunch of children twerking on the floor. Both 8th Grade and Cuties are the respective directors' debuts and focus on a shy outcast young girl who is attempting to fit in with those around her and draws validation from social media. Both girls awkwardly launch themselves into a phase of overt sexuality in order to gain the approval of those around them, and, in doing so, ultimately find themselves in an uncomfortable situation of their own devising that serves as the emotional climax of the story. It's a story about two girls trying to grow up too quickly and realizing that that's not really what they want. So with stories, themes, and messages so similar, what does 8th grade do right that Cuties does not? It doesn't fucking zoom in on children's asses for one. One major thing that people who are bashing the movie seem to point out is the clothing choices of the Cuties. These girls are wearing very short shorts and crop tops, but I would argue that in general is something that the movie could be allowed to do, to showcase like, oh, this little girl wants to dress older so she's wearing these sorts of clothes. But where Cuties drops the ball is in its portrayal of the girls, in the way that the camera moves while focusing on them, what the camera is focusing on, and the way the clips are edited together. 8th grade also has scenes where there are underage girls showing their midriff and wearing very short shorts. This is at a pool party. In both movies behind the scenes, adults would have had to ask underage kids, hey, could you wear this bikini? Or hey, could you wear this crop top and shorts? So let's take a look at the way that 8th grade will focus on underage girls in bikinis. As we follow our main character Kayla out of the balcony door, we do have the camera following from behind, and her butt does show up on screen. However, it's very low to the frame, and soon just passes out of frame entirely. As Kayla continues to walk, we see her from a respectable distance, waist up. And you can see these two girls to the left wearing a bikini, which is objectively less clothing than what the Cuties wear, except in the finale, but we'll get to that. And they show up on camera, but the camera doesn't then go in close and zoom up to them and their breasts. And like while this girl is flossing, we don't then have a second shot showing her ass while it moves between her arms. I don't know how to floss. So here we have established a certain base. You can show kids midriffs and thighs and legs on screen and ask them to wear these clothing, but like treat it casually. Don't do what Cuties is about to do. So this amount of distance from the camera is okay, in my opinion. We are seeing these girls dance from the perspective of our main character. And it's interesting to note that from this distance, that's when the dance moves are a bit more SFW. I wouldn't say that this girl is really doing anything that would make me feel uncomfortable if I was watching it. I think that angle and that camera distance does a good way of showing, okay, this is the way these girls dance. The movie is not forcing you to form an opinion with its camera angles. It's just very removed from the incident. And personally, I think it's very telling that when the girls are just dancing, the camera maintains a respectable distance from them. The camera only moves closer and does these pans up and down when the girls are dancing sensually. Let's take a look. So there's that shot, right? This girl like puts her leg over her head and her crotch is like sort of center screen for a bit. While you're taking the time to sort of digest that information and decide whether or not that does make you feel uncomfortable, the next scene pops up and you're just like, oh, okay, well, I don't need to know whether or not that one may be uncomfortable because this one definitely does. The eye contact these girls are making with the fourth wall camera and the way that the camera zooms in on them is a conscious choice by the directors and the cinematographers to add sensuality and intimacy to these scenes. The problem here isn't that the movie is trying to tell a story in which girls start to dance provocatively and embrace their like sexuality. The problem is the way the movie itself, as a medium, tackles the way these girls are being portrayed. And the vibes that I'm getting from the way that this is filmed is that I'm in the middle of this, I'm on this staircase, and these four underage girls are dancing for me. And that's not a vibe I should be getting. And that's not me being like, oh, this is like my own personal interpretation of the scene. No, these girls are looking at the camera, the director asked them to look at the camera, and the camera is just so close to their butts. So let's look at the people that our main characters are trying to impress. The female characters that they view as people they want to be. In Kayla's case, this would be Olivia, a senior in high school, that Kayla follows around for a day and then befriends and hangs out with later in the movie. The Cuties are inspired and also compete against a rival dance team, the Sweetie Swags. When I first watched the movie, I assumed that the Sweetie Swags were an adult dance team, that like maybe they just were popular online and the Cuties were watching their videos. Another thing that contributed to my belief that the Sweetie Swags were adults is that one of the Sweetie Swags lifts her shirt up and reveals her bare breast. So that sort of hammered in the idea, okay, the Sweetie Swags are adults. I think you can see where I'm going with this. That was less of a comparison between these two movies and more me trying to figure out where in this video I just sort of had to point out that this movie has underage titty in it. So let's get back to the comparisons. Both of these movies are about girls who are coming of age, which means that they're dealing with burgeoning sexual feelings, puberty. So when Kayla sees her crush at school, she is told by a fellow classmate that her crush broke up with his girlfriend because she didn't send him nude pictures. So Kayla sees this as an opportunity to tell him, yo, I take nudes.
Oh my god, that was so embarrassing. Like, it's super funny. You want, like, it was so funny, Aiden. It's kind of just too embarrassing for me to even, like, talk about. I mean, it's just...
Okay.
I mean, I was trying to open up Instagram, and then I ended up pulling up my dirty photos folder, and it was just...
Really?
Now this here is the segment where I would include a clip from the movie of Kayla alone in her bedroom, posing in front of the mirror as she removes her clothes. So we only see her in her underwear, and the camera zooms up and down her body as she poses. Except the movie doesn't fucking do that. Somehow, don't know how they fucking did it, it must be a miracle, the movie was able to showcase the discomfort and the pressure that a young girl faces when her crush wants her to act a certain way, without actually showing us our main character acting in that way. A way that would be provocative and that would, yes, mirror what the movie is telling us, but if shown, would defeat the entire purpose. Listen, director of Cuties, I'm sorry I can't pronounce your name. We don't need to be physically shown uncomfortable acts to feel uncomfortable. Like sometimes being told can make us just as uncomfortable. Sometimes implications can make us uncomfortable. This is a lesson that you apparently haven't learned yet, director of Cuties, because let's take a look at your finale.
I don't care if you really wanna trust me. I just wanna dance, you look at me. I know my she got your own fire. Bones back on them chairs like a low tie. Think you know I'm idiot, I'm witty. So right, you gotta scream when you see me. You wish my hips make love to the melody. Room to get in his smoke with the left and you. All I wanna hear that I'm...
I don't really have much else to add about this scene. It's the emotional climax of the film is what these girls have been working towards, and then Amy gets sad because she realizes, oh, this isn't what I wanted. But goddamn, do we have to see all of this? If you can have people in the crowd reacting and being uncomfortable by these dances, and you know that this is uncomfortable, why did you make these girls dance like this? Why did you force us to see it? A better way to have filmed this, if this is what you wanted to do, maybe we see the horrified looks on the audience members' faces, and we just sort of have to imply, okay, these girls are doing something on stage that they should not be doing on stage. This is still bad because you're forcing the girls to do it, but maybe instead of when the girls are twerking, focusing on their butts, maybe just focus on like this part up. And we all like have seen enough twerking to realize, okay, if the shoulders are moving like this, they're twerking. Actually, yeah, just fucking, ow, fuck, that hurt like a motherfucker. Had the girls not move their butts at all, have the camera set up like this, and like make them do this, and it's implied that they're twerking. Yeah? Like, that's not fucking difficult, right? You don't need to fucking sexualize children to make us feel uncomfortable, to make us feel the emotions that you want us to feel. It's cheap. You are obviously showcasing that you don't have confidence in your own filmmaking and editing if this is what you have to resort to. If you can't imply discomfort, if you can't imply sexual content. You want to see how 8th grade does it? Let's see how 8th grade does it.
Kind of awkward talking when you're in the back seat.
Should I get in the front?
No. It's all good. You excited about next year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. I mean, you should watch out for guys. Definitely. Truth or dare?
Truth.
How far have you gone?
Third base.
Whoa.
Yeah, sorry, just kidding. I meant second, you know. I get second and third, like,
Yeah.
mixed up a lot, you know. Okay, well, truth or dare.
I'll take dare.
What do you want to do, you know? You can pick.
I could take my shirt off. I mean, that's stupid, though. Is that stupid?
No.
No?
That's fine.
Truth or dare?
Truth.
You're no fun.
Sorry. Okay, well, dare.
Take your shirt off.
I'm not, like, super comfortable with that.
Well, do you think I'm comfortable right now? Take your shirt off.
No! Sorry.
How do you feel right now, guys? Do you feel uncomfortable? Did the movie do what it needed to do? Did the movie make you feel the emotion it was trying to make you feel? Did it somehow manage to do it without actually making Kayla take off her shirt? This is still impactful, despite the fact that we don't see this girl being exploited. And the fact that the director of Cuties thought that she needed to showcase the exploitation and sexualization of children to get the message across is such a bullshit excuse to include it in her movie, because for the most part, we're all decent people. And we don't need to see children being sexualized to be uncomfortable about it. Cuties doesn't not have anything to say. Cuties has a good message. But Cuties it really came out here and said, forest fires are bad. I hope we can make you realize this by setting this forest on fire. I don't know, the structure of this video is all over the place. I'll admit I did rush this a bit. If anything, watch 8th Grade. 8th Grade is a fantastic film. It's on Amazon Prime. That's it for me. Make sure to dislike, leave a hate comment, unsubscribe, and report the video. And definitely don't give me money on Patreon. Please don't support me on Patreon.